The Houston Texans are on the road in Baltimore to take on the Ravens. My two best bets are on the way. What's going on? My name is Austin from Calling Our Shot. Let's do a recap of how we did last week for Wild Card Weekend. It was a 2-4 week. We had a 2-1 Saturday and then 0-3 disaster class on Sunday. Not the greatest week for us. Hasn't really been the greatest, NFL season, but I am determined. We got a couple more weeks left betting the NFL. We're going to end on a strong note. We're going to dive into two picks. This isn't my only video for Saturday. We have an identical video, but we're talking all about the Packers and 49ers game. That one was posted right after this one, so definitely check that out. I got two picks in that one, including a same game parlay. We've done really well on same game parlays this season. I'll link that video down below in the description and at the end of this video, as well as in the pinned comment. Make sure you don't miss out on that one on what my thoughts are and who I think wins, plus a couple props in that 49ers and Packers game. But without further ado, let's dive into the picks. My favorite pick of the weekend, though, is going to be Lamar Jackson over 0.5 yards. It's a free square on Underdog Fantasy. If you haven't signed up for Underdog, you're going to get this free square. It's only for new users, and not only will you get that free square, you also will get a 100% deposit match, a match on your first deposit up to $100 if you use code COS or the link in the description. Take advantage. Use that Underdog free square for only new users. It's Lamar Jackson to get 1 yard. Come on, he's going to get you 1 yard. So definitely take advantage of that. Use our code COS or the link in the description. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. But you guys came here for some NFL picks, so stuck on the NBA. We're diving into the first one. It is Zay Flowers of the Baltimore Ravens over 47.5 receiving yards, minus 114 on FanDuel. Now, personally, I would play this to about 52.5 for Zay Flowers. Now, I don't think the line really matters a ton here. I think either Zay Flowers, gets 60 plus, or he doesn't probably get above 40. But I really think Zay Flowers is in for a good matchup against the Houston Texans. Now, I want to first start with the Texans defense and what I think their game plan will be here, because D'Amico Ryans, their head coach, phenomenal job this season, but just in general, in terms of his NFL career and his NFL coaching career, very good defensive-minded head coach. And if there's one thing you want to take away from the Ravens, it's try to slow down Lamar Jackson in that rushing attack. Now, obviously, Gus Edwards, they've had tons of injuries to the running backs, but I think what they're going to try to do is stop the run, which they've been very good at this season. Not just stop the run, also containing Lamar Jackson. Now, that's easier said than done, but I don't imagine they're always going to have at least one or two guys with their sole job of focusing on Lamar Jackson, making sure he doesn't scramble around and go rush it up the field for 25 yards, but also just kind of keeping him in the pocket. And I think that's going to pay big dividends to a guy like Zay Flowers. Not only Zay Flowers has the big play potential, if they do want to run some run-pass options, he's probably the guy they target in those sort of plays. And we've seen Zay Flowers so far this season. He's over this line in 11 of 16 games. Obviously, he's a rookie, so coming into his first ever playoff game, he's been really good at home, back over this line in 5 of 7. And actually, his 4 biggest receiving yards games have all come at home. So he's been a really good guy at home. I don't necessarily know if the weather plays a ton into this one here. We could see some wind and some rain, but Zay Flowers is not really a guy that's going too deep down the field. I mean, he has the potential for 50-plus yard plays, but he's sometimes a guy that is more of a possession receiver. He can get us, 4 or 5 receptions, 10, 15 yards a pop, boom, he's over this line. And they actually think he gets a good amount of receptions. On FanDuel, Flowers is minus 210, so heavily juiced for him to get at least 4 receptions. His regular line is about 4.5, plus money on the over, like plus 102. But this season, in 11 games with 4 or more receptions, he's over the line in 9 of 11, and he has had 2 games where he's seen less than 4 receptions and still managed to go over. So they really do think he gets a good workload on Saturday, and I really think he's going to have his chances against this Houston secondary, very young, inexperienced secondary. And Houston, you look at them on the year, have allowed the 9th most passing yards, the 13th most yards to wide receivers, and since November, 12 wide receivers have 4 or more receptions versus Houston. 11 of those 12 hit this over. So when your wide receiver catching the ball against Houston, you're probably having good success. It's a pretty low line because the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, his passing yards line is about 225. I know a lot of people are going to be on Isaiah Likely, and I don't hate that pick, but I think Zay Flowers is the number one guy for Lamar Jackson. He'll step up in his first playoff game. I think he'll play pretty well. We're getting the line right around 50. I really do think Zay Flowers has a pretty good game against Houston. He has those games where he could get 7 receptions and easily clear this line, but he also has games where maybe gets 3 receptions, but big play potential. He's hard to tackle. I really like Zay Flowers is over 47.5 receiving yards. It's my first pick of the day. Now, my second pick is going to be one that you guys probably won't like, because it is a CJ Stroud prop, and we're taking an under. However, let's talk about why I like this under, and it's going to be CJ Stroud under 36.5 yards for his longest passing completion. Now, there are going to be people that are maybe on Underdog or on PrizePicks or things like that maybe don't have a longest passing yards, completion. How do we fade this if we're on that? I like this under, honestly, in passing yards. I'll talk about why, because obviously I got to give credit where credit is due. CJ Stroud has been insane this season. However, I don't necessarily know if this is the best spot to be backing his overs. I like this under a lot. Now, I'll talk about Stroud, and like I said, he's really good. I'm not saying he's trash. Next, Stroud could throw for 400 yards and still go under this 36.5 yards for his longest pass completion. Now, he also could throw for 100 yards, and one of those completions could be 37 yards. So it could go either way. But obviously, how do we cash this one? Well, we need Stroud to not complete a pass 37 yards or longer. So it's going to be a long game sweat. Hopefully, we get it to all game and it's not an early loser. But let's talk about Stroud. So far, 16 games, obviously missed a couple. We're including the playoff game last week. He's under this line in 9 of 16 games, 56% of the time. Good for us. Now, you look at him, he has gone over in back-to-back weeks. Obviously, he's had like 75-yard completions in the last 2 games against the Colts and the Browns. Now, I want to note both those games in a dome and a covered stadium, so no weather conditions to worry about. However, this season, when you look at him going on the road, hasn't really been trying to stretch the top off the defense. He's actually been under this line in 5 of 7 road games, and he's actually under in 3 straight games where he's played outdoors when he's at a 31, 34, and a 26-yard completion. Now, obviously, like I said, Stroud is awesome. I'm not coming out here and saying Stroud sucks. There's no chance he completes a pass 37 yards or longer, but a lot of things have to go right. Well, number one, he's got to make an accurate ball. Number 2, the Ravens could potentially get some pass interference. That's our friend here. Number 3, the guy also has to catch it on the other side. And when we think about it, they're obviously down Tank Dell, now down Noah Brown too. And I think we're going to look at this Ravens defense. Been really elite so far this season. Plus, you look at the weather. We're going to be in the mid-20s, maybe low 10s with a wind chill, 15 to 30 mile per hour wind. So not ideal for a guy that wants to throw the ball deep, which Stroud is the guy that will stretch the top off the defense. But this season, the Ravens, 5th lowest completion percentage allowed, and the fewest yards per attempt allowed, just 5.1 yards per pass attempt. Now, look at the last 10 QBs to face the Ravens. I'm not going to list off all these numbers. 7 of 10 went under this line. And at QBs in Baltimore, 5 of 6, the last 5 of the last 6 QBs to face them in Baltimore have gone under this line too. So the defense has been locked down at home. Obviously, they're going to be down Marlon Humphrey, a pretty good cornerback, but I don't necessarily know if that affects their, pass defense a ton. They still have really good safeties with Kyle Hamilton and Marcus Williams. I don't think they're going to be concerned too much about the Texans' rushing attack. I think they're going to say, hey, you know what, Stroud, you're going to dink and dunk down the field. We know you want to throw it deep. We're going to play some 2 high safety looks. You're going to have to throw it short. And then they're going to let their Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith go out there, rally and tackle. And if it's like a 10-yard completion that they let him get 30 yards after catch, I'll be in pain. But I really do like this under here for CJ Stroud. I know I don't love taking unders, especially for a guy like CJ Stroud. I don't want to root against him. He's a rookie, and he's obviously deserves props for carrying his team to not only a playoff victory, but just even into the playoffs as a rookie. But I really do like the CJ Stroud under 36.5 yards for his longest passing completion. And then we're going to just talk about who I feel like wins this game. And I'll put them up on the screen. I do want to note, I don't do a lot of game picks because they're not my strength. I feel like player props are where I feel like I have the biggest edge. But if I had to bet something in this game, and I'm not going to track them towards my record, and I'm curious what you guys are going to bet, I lean the Ravens minus 9.5, and I lean the full game under 43.5. This is something I'm going to, institute for the videos going forward. We're going to talk about, where I would bet if I had to bet on the spread, who I think wins and stuff like that. I think the Ravens win this one. I think they cover that 9.5 point spread. I think the Texans are really good, but I think their luck comes out here. Ravens have just been too good at home. And obviously the Ravens are coming here with a couple weeks off. Could show a little bit of rust. Maybe they aren't playing too well in the first half, but I think they get it going in the second half. And Stroud's going to have a tough time trying to score against the Ravens defense, which has been locked down all year. So I like the Ravens minus the 9.5, and I like the full game under 43.5. Obviously, these are just leans. I'm not going to track them towards my record. The only things I'm tracking are CJ Stroud's under and longest completion, and obviously Zay Flowers, not Zay Jones, Zay Flowers over in receiving yards. Those are my 2 favorite picks of the day. For this game, I will have 2 more picks in that 49ers and Packers game, plus a couple leans as to who I think wins and whether I like the over or the under. That video will be posted right after this one, probably within 10 minutes of this one posting. It'll go live. So definitely check that out. It is linked on the screen whenever it does go live. Go see my 2 favorite picks for the Saturday night game. We'll have the same exact kind of script for Sunday's games, where we have 2 other games, Bills, Chiefs, and Bucks versus Lions. You'll see 2 videos for those pop up on Saturday afternoon/evening. You guys have a great Saturday. I'll see you guys back live for Sunday's edition of picks. And if you want to go check out that 49ers video, definitely go do it. 2 absolute winners over there. Let's have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.